as the Dubs get it done, 137-116. Joe Shasky, everything's fine. They blew out a team they were supposed to blow out, although a little extra. I got scared for just a second that Draymond Green was going to get knocked out of there, but the more I watch the NBA and how they officiate and stuff like that, I was like, they're not tossing Draymond Green. I think he actually has some sort of a shield around him now that like Ed Malloy's, Scott Foster. It's always a fun game, and they don't want to be the guy that knocks him out for another extended amount of time. But good morning to you, sir.
Good morning.
That was a good win.
Did you see Taylor Jenkins essentially look like Earl Hebner or one of these WWE refs who got accidentally caught up in the melee?
Whenever I look at Taylor Jenkins, he looks so unhappy to be coaching the sport of basketball. Like, is there an unhappier looking person that is coaching sports right now than him?
Oh, that's
Taylor Jenkins. Whenever I see him, I swear to God.
I mean,
Belichick.
he's not coaching.
Yeah, but he won though, so I was like, it's all right. He's like, I'm just tired of winning all the time, you know. Although he's kind of getting crushed in this new doc I haven't seen. That's something that we might be able to discuss later.
Well,
on.
Bob Kraft. I mean, it's a Kraft Foundation.
It is, right? Okay.
Production, but yes, no. That's a great question. You know, the thing with Taylor Jenkins, I have cousins, Jack and Mike Schindler. Taylor Jenkins looks like the third Schindler brother. Anybody that knows my cousins knows. I mean, hairline, build, look, everything about him.
Burly lumberjack kind of build.
Looking very Viking-like.
Yeah.
You know?
And that scuffle that they had, they're not even a scuffle, like they fell into each other. The whole thing was just weird
Ridiculous.
last night. But the Warriors won, and that's all that matters. They're a half game back to the Lakers for the 9th spot now. Lakers have like 4 days off. They get back in action tomorrow against the Sixers. Warriors back in action tomorrow to wrap up the homestand. Thank you, Bonte. Against the Pacers. That'll be a tougher matchup. Listen, they did what they were supposed to do last night, Joe. They needed a win. Because if they lost that game, now all of a sudden, I'm starting to get a little worried. Get some ease off, get some pressure off, take care of business tomorrow, and then a massive matchup in Minnesota on Sunday against Anthony Edwards and co.
Can we just ask out loud, what was like, with so much on the line and so little equity that they've established in terms of a win-loss record, like they have to win a lot of these games, and there's no margin of error.
500 at home now, 18-18.
Oh, thank God. And so, like Draymond is like doing this thing with the finger over the lips as I put my finger over my lips. Was he saying that they were stinky, the Grizzlies? It's not like the Warriors are much better. And I get it. You're a minted champion, but it just, the whole thing made zero sense. Like Draymond, just play basketball.
I mean, they don't have,
he's pointy.
They don't have their two best players. Like John Morant and Marcus Smart are like not playing. So of course they're going to stink. Although my guy, Santi Aldama, who is this?
I don't know.
Just the game of his life. He's 7 feet tall, and he was just looking like Wemby out there.
Talking smack.
Talking smack. I like that. By the way, I sent this in the thread. He's only one of the 2 active Spanish players in the league right now. That's actually kind of nuts considering how much talent has come out of that country within the last 20-plus years. Think of the Gasol brothers. You think of, who's my guy? Jose Calderon. You think of Rudy Fernandez. All these guys, right? But, hey, Santi Aldama. I will never forget you now. There you go. And by the way, Shasky.
G.G. Jackson?
Yeah, that guy. It's the most fraudulent.
Number 1 high school player, though.
Jarrett Jackson Jr., dude.
Oh, Zach Jackson. Okay.
I'm talking about this one for a second. Is there a player who, and I look at Giannis deserving of a DPOI. I look at Anthony Davis, probably should have had a DPOI. I look at Jarrett Jackson Jr., and he's a great player, but when I watch him, a lot of the times, he just seems to get, kind of lost in the shuffle out there. He's not, against a team like the Warriors, who, granted, they're small, I feel like he should have dominated a lot more against a team like that.
Defensively or offensively?
Both. He's big.
I really like,
and I like TJD a lot, but like that's a matchup that I'm looking at in that one. Like, hey, you should be able to get yours, and most of it, I was just like, okay. TJD, I'm liking a lot more. TJD. Every single time he plays, I can't get enough of that guy.
Did you see the wraparound pass to Kuminga? Dude, that was just absolutely beautiful.
His IQ, I've been very impressed with.
I totally agree. Kuminga had an unbelievable left-handed dunk in traffic. That was just so sick. But no, Jaren Jackson Jr., I'm intrigued with. I think he'd be significantly better on a more buttoned-up organization. I just think top-down, because of their leader, like most of these teams take on the identity of their best player. Think of the Rockets with James Harden. Were they detail-oriented? Not really. That's just not who James Harden is.
No, he's a me guy.
Yeah, exactly. And so when I look at John Morant being the leader of that team, I think Jaren Jackson Jr. falls in line behind Ja Morant, and it's no surprise to me that the effort level and the consistency is up and down with a guy like that. I'm intrigued with him. He's a modern big who can switch out on the sides. I think he shoots way too many threes than I would like, but I think in the right situation, he's a perfect player in terms of switching on the perimeter for a big guarding smalls.
A much-needed win last night for the Golden State Warriors. Again, 137-116 over the Memphis Grizzlies. Stephen Curry didn't even have that great of a game. No. 14 points for him, but that's actually a great sign for me if I'm a fan of the Warriors because they finally won a game in which Steph did not have to be heroic. He didn't have to have a lot of stress minutes later in that game. Andrew Wiggins, granted it was against a bad team, but finally, 9 of 14, 22 points. Got out of his little slump, a double-double for him, 10 rebounds. Kuminga, because this guy, real quick, Jonathan Kuminga, can anyone swat that guy from behind now? I don't think so. If he gets a head full of steam, he is dunking that thing with authority. Like, not even LeBron James in his prime, I think, could swat this guy. The athleticism I am seeing from Jonathan Kuminga, off the charts right now, Joe. I have been so impressed with how this guy has bounced back after getting benched last year, and after the Wiggins whole thing, not getting playing time, voicing his frustrations to CJ Holmes of then the San Francisco Chronicle, all of that. To see his coming of age this season in a win like that, in which they needed, it's just been refreshing to watch, to be honest with you.
His rebounding defensively has been significantly better.
He was hounding out there on defense.
Yeah, he really was. And on a court with a guy like Jaren Jackson Jr., who I believe to be very athletic for his size, Kuminga's playing at a whole nother speed and a whole nother height.
Speed is the word for me. Like his quickness. Power. Yes.
I'm loving where he's at right now. I mean, look, I don't know. The way this team's hierarchy is, who knows? Because there is I would say, an interesting hierarchy, tapestry, pecking order, however you want to describe it when it comes to this team. Jonathan Kuminga is the second best player on this team.
Yes, he is.
He may not be in terms of like how the team views itself, but how other teams are viewing this team. It's Steph 1, Kuminga 2.
Not even close, in my opinion. And Clay, yes, Andrew Wiggins is a no-show. Like, that was the guy that was supposed to be and he had a good game last night. So, listen, I'm not here to crush him or anything like that today because he had a good game. Let's acknowledge he had a good performance. But for most of the season, like, would we be shocked tomorrow if he had, a 3 for 10 game, 8 points, a couple boards, and like an assist? No, because that's what he's been doing all season long. He goes in and out. He comes back to the fold. He fades away. So the consistency from Jonathan Kuminga's standpoint, yes, he's been the second best player. Now, is that good enough to win you a championship this year? Probably not. And to be calling a championship when you're a 10th seed right now, I know that's crazy, but that's what the standard is for the Golden State Warriors. So going forward, can he still be that second best player on a championship squad? That's going to be interesting this offseason when Mike Dunleavy is going to have a lot to chew on. It's obviously depending on how the season ends. Do they make a run? Do they not make one? Right now, they are the 10th spot. They got the Rockets behind them. They got 3 games back. So we'll see how things shake out, Joe Shasky. But they needed that one. They
did need that win. But I'm not making any sweeping indictments on what they are, what they can do. And look, I get Fitz's point of view, and I like Fitz. I know a lot of people don't care for some of the way that he presents things on the telecast. I get a kick out of him, but what I'm not going to do.
Stop it.
I just love his drops.
I know. What I'm not going to do is go flying again, like I promised myself I wouldn't, flying to the other end of the room like that. They could go on a deep run. Dog, you were neck and neck with the Grizz for multiple quarters, and I couldn't name half the guys the Grizzlies
almost dropped. They almost dropped 60 on you in the first half, and they got no one on there. I don't know who Santi Aldama is. I do now, but I did not know.
You were one scuffle away from Secaucus kicking Draymond out of that game and potentially having another suspension.
The season being over.
Exactly.
And
that to me is like the Draymond stuff. Like, man, dude, can you just play basketball? Can you just, maybe I'm alone in this. Can you just play basketball? Can you just stop with all the extra? You're arguing with a bunch of guys. Like, you are telling me you're the greatest defensive player of all time. When I think of Rodman and I close my eyes, I think of him scuffling with, at the time, one of the greatest scorers of all time in Karl Malone. Okay? That's what I think of.
He was going against the other team's baddest man every single time.
Not against some guy none of us has ever heard of from Spain. What's his name?
Santi Aldama.
Santi Aldama having the game of his life, and you're jarring with him back and forth. It's like, come on, man. You're going to let a G League kind of guy, like, get all up in your dome? What? And I'm supposed to take this team serious?
Well, he's the heart and soul of the team, Joe Shasky. Still, he's one of the leaders of the squad. All the players seem to think that. Now, do you still want him being the leader after everything that happened? I get it. Since he's been back, though, he's been playing well. But that just highlights, no, to your point, though, something like last night highlights just how fine of a line it could be from this season potentially being over, because they ain't doing a damn thing without Draymond Green on the squad. That's why it's so tough to watch him scrap against guys like Asante Aldama, right? All these dudes out there. And by the way, Desmond Bane did not do anything last night. 2 of 13, 2 of 9.
But did you see Aldama's, like the thing with Aldama last night, like the guy played with a sense of urgency.
He did.
Like his NBA career was on the line. And when I watch the Warriors, and I get it, they're established, they're making lots and lots of money, their legacies are cemented, but I don't see that from Wiggins. Could you imagine if Wiggins played with the fire Aldama played with? And I don't expect every single player to play that way every single night, but my God, the season, guys, is slipping away. We've got a handful of games here. Let's show a little sense of urgency.
Listen, and